So I'm annotating Sunbearer trials, which is weird because I read it in January, but I'm finally annotating it. And yes, this is the Sunbearer crew neck. This is also the Julian Diaz necklace. I'm basically just a walking advertisement for Aiden Thomas's books at this point. Aiden Thomas, if you see this, I would not be opposed to you sending me an advanced reader's copy of Sunbearer Trials too. I don't know if you have any power over that, but if you do, not the point. So as I said, I haven't read the book since like December, but I'm just so... This is killing me. In a good way, obviously, but it's just rereading it. Knowing about the plot twist. Knowing about, spoiler alert, Zio being an obsidian and betraying them all. I cannot make sense of Suerte's reaction. If I butchered that name, I am deeply sorry. Because if he's an obsidian, how is all of this happening with Suerte? Does he really think that Zio is his kid? And listen, if like something completely went over my head about how this worked out when I read this, please let me know. Again, I haven't read it since January, but I don't remember anything coming up about Suerte and Zio. Yeah. Why would Suerte think that Zio is his kid? And I still don't get why. If he's an obsidian, why did Saul choose him? And I know that that's gonna be something that's, like, gonna be revealed in the second book, or should be. There should be a reason that Saul chose an obsidian. Saul would know, wouldn't you think? But something about how Suerte reacted to Zio being chosen has to do with it. I feel, because, like, I'm reading this, and then later on, Naya goes on to say, like, Suerte seems like a guy who's just full of himself and acts like he isn't bothered by anything. Direct quote, by the way. And he lost his mind at the thought of Zio competing in the trials. And, like, at first it was like, oh, he's just, protective of Zio. And they go on to be like, oh, yeah, he's kind of a loner and keeps to himself. Maybe that's kind of why he's so protective of him. But it's like, he's not his kid. And how does he not know he's not his kid? Was it... And I'm, like, reading it, and I'm like, does he know that Zio is an obsidian? And is Zio just a good actor? Because honestly, I'm not from what I remember from my first read-through, it was pretty obvious based on how Zio was, like, reacting to people, like, picking up on how he was fucking with the trials, that he's not that great of an actor. Like, I think the fact that, like, he's a Jade and he's 13, it's pretty easy to pass off the fact that he's so, like, nervous about all of this on that. But when you really pay attention, you can tell that something's going on. He's doing something. I out loud said I knew it when they revealed that Zio was an obsidian. I was like, Zio's doing something. Something is going on with Zio. And at first I was under the impression that they were, like, trying to kill him on purpose. But the more I read it, the more I was like, no, he's doing something. So I don't think he's, like, really that good of an actor. Enough to fool an entire god into thinking he was his kid. So was Suerte somehow in on this? I mean, like, it would make sense if maybe the Jades felt like they weren't appreciated enough and decided to try to free the Obsidians so that, they get more recognition. That never was really touched on in the first book. And if that's the case, like, why was he so angry about Zio being chosen? Or maybe he knew Zio was an obsidian and that's why he was pissed. I don't know. And the fact that one of the things he shouts during this whole thing is, Zio is my son, it's like, well, yeah. No one was disputing that. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like, you want to protect your kid, but it seems like a weird thing to bring attention to while you're angry about your kid being chosen. It's like, why would you get defensive about the fact that Zio is your son? I don't know. And that's what makes me wonder whether or not he knew if Zio was his kid. And then he has that whole, oh, my little troublemaker. It's like, what trouble was he causing? And I didn't, pick up on this in my first read-through, but then I started thinking about it again, and as I'm annotating it and rereading it, I'm getting the impression, and if this is totally obvious, I'm sorry. I was more so focused on the pain that was everything that was going on, from the betrayal to what we learned about Aurelio. And then that's another thing I'm realizing. I think Aurelio might be my favorite character. I didn't realize that in my first read through, but as I'm reading it now, I'm like, I would die for you. Anyway, you can tell I have ADHD, it's great. But my point is, not only was he fucking with competitors, but he seemed to also be, you know, trying to lose. I think he was supposed to be the sacrifice, and that he was supposed to, like, prevent them from killing him. Just, like, not show up or whatever. I don't remember how the sacrificing worked. But just, you know, not die. And then that's when the obsidians would get free. Which, as I say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably what the plan was. But anyway, it's odd, because it's like, how would an obsidian get free, first of all? And how would they make a plan if they're locked away all this time? It just seems like Suerte probably was involved in it in some way, and maybe he was worried about, like, him just actually dying in the trials and not going through with the plan. I don't know. Or maybe he just didn't want the plan to work. Didn't want them to go through with it. It's just so weird, because how does a god not know that his kid is not actually his kid and is an obsidian? And then his reaction makes it seem like he does know. Which is a point I've already stated probably 3 or 4 times. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm on page 68 of Annotating, so I will update you on my thoughts later.